Good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing? This is Leo Naranjo IV, candidate for governor of California 2026. I'm standing here today on the 19th of October. What I thought was kind of out of the way for the apartment buildings here. And we're doing a little video today. A few things I'd like to talk about. Right now, the family and I are getting ready to come back to California. Wife is happy, daughter is happy, I'm happy, everybody's happy. And now it's time to return back to the home state and start taking care of business. My 6 is covered. Now it's time to move forward with the mission. So first and foremost, let me start off with this Prop 50 thing that everybody's panicking, freaking out about, talking about, and endlessly nonstop perusing the social media platforms to galvanize people of California to get off of their little tushies and to vote no on Prop 50. For those people who are in the party, who are pressing individuals to vote no, who are worried about them not voting at all, who are concerned that they refuse to vote by mail and they want to vote in person because that's what they can do, whether you like it or not doesn't matter. They can vote in person if they choose to. Here's a little tip and a piece of advice for you. Stop calling voters juvenile. Stop calling voters idiots. Stop calling voters people who don't understand what's going on in the political world concerning Prop 50. Boomers, they don't get it. Older people, they don't get it. Juvenile voters, you people are losers. You're not worthy to be a Republican, blah, 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 blah. We've heard all of these commentaries from so-called new guard Republicans in Central Committee positions that think they know it all. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to inform you, you don't have a whole lot of knowledge about Jack Diddley. You do have a lot of knowledge about losing. That's been evident for the last 30 years. Some of you aren't even old enough to have been around for the last 30 years, but now you're trying to school the boomer generation on how they need to act, how they're supposed to jump, because you've snapped your fingers and expect everybody to do that. That must be a new political way of getting support by people that you need something from. And if it is, it's one that I've never read in any books whatsoever on how to encourage people to do what you need them to do. Sure as hell isn't any form of leadership I've ever seen or practiced. It is a form of leadership that's weak, that's lame, that's sad. Yes, I've seen those type of leaders in my military career, state career, federal career, county career. Exactly those type of people. This is exactly the type of individual I've talked about at my rallies, at my speaking engagements, of people who look down on you and feel that you should be thankful that you're breathing the same air they are, who is just as much would look at you and dismiss you as they would an ant crawling across the floor until they need something from you, which is quite evident today on Prop 50. The party is coming out of the woodwork trying to get you to vote because they need you for something. So for those people who haven't yet voted, for those people who are waiting to do so in person, congratulations. You do how you feel you want to vote. By mail, in person, today, tomorrow, whenever it is that you decide to vote, go ahead and do so the way you want to, not the way that county or government politicians demand that you vote. These people charging around here saying if you can't vote by mail, we're going to lose. I'm sorry. Congratulations, young lady. You probably alienated 5, 10, or 15% of our voters by calling them juveniles that don't know anything. How the hell you got on a Central Committee position, I don't know. How you're still in a Central Committee position, that's another surprise. But how that you are treating voters that you need their votes from is kind of irreprehensible. And if anything, you should be on this platform blowing it up with as many apologies as you can to the amount that you're putting out there, calling voters slow that don't know anything, that they need to vote or else. So that's one thing on the Prop 50 motion. Please get out there and vote no on Prop 50. As soon as I get back, I'm doing it in person on my time, not on your time. So that's the end of that nonsense. The next thing for the party to consume, and for those people that think this is a hit to certain members of our party, it may or may not well be a hit, but we'll leave that up to the viewer's discretion. Here's another tidbit of information for you. A while back, we had people that were panicked that Mel Gibson was going to jump in the governor race for 2026. Had a sheriff just got interviewed in the middle of his interview telling everybody on live performance recorded venue, I'm the only one that can win. I know it. The other candidates know it. You're going to know it. And I'm the one. And everybody else needs to stop and quit and follow in behind me. Unless Mel Gibson jumps in, then I have to reevaluate my position. You just told the world you were the man. But now, if another guy comes in, you have to reevaluate your position because you're not exactly the candidate you thought you were in the beginning. Then Mel Gibson dropped out. Everybody panicked because there was no political noise for almost a month. That was in April 2024, if not 2025. And suddenly, and lo and behold, here comes Mr. Hilton. He jumps out there. Party's running wild with him. Oh, the expectations are great. This man is wonderful. He'll be our next governor, blah, 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 blah. Same thing they said about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look what he's done to the Republican Party in this state. Don't tell me about Schwarzenegger and how much of a GOP person he was and how supportive he was or anything else like that. I was in state government when that man became governor, and it was a disaster when he stepped in and became worse after he left. So when folks talk about rhinos, when they talk about sellouts, when they talk about Republicans that don't subscribe to conservative ideals, or they're not here to help advance the party, one has to only look at Mr. Schwarzenegger to notice what has happened to the Republican Party in California. Many pundits of all levels across the spectrum will tell you that him and Mr. Munger did a wonderful job destroying our party from within. I don't need to explain much more about that. You've seen it. Got 50 gazillion party members now splashing across the internet talking about vote no on Prop 50. But where were they 1 or 2 years ago when we needed you to say no to SB 1, that thing that Newsom was behind, passing to get us a bond to build water storage? Where were you in opposition to that? Nowhere. Where were you in opposition to some of the other stupid things coming out of our legislative offices down in Sacramento? Nowhere. Where are you when it comes to trying to get behind an individual who supposedly knows more about our laws than the lawmakers of California who have lived here forever, and getting behind him for his so-called Stop the Steal Prop 50 lawsuit through the feds? Nowhere. We don't have time for Prop 50, we do have time for Prop 50, but we don't have time for a governor's race. We don't have time to give it considerations. We don't have time to talk about it. You don't think that's not important? You want people to be in school boards, on city councils, in lower level ranked positions that you've determined folks need to get into. You're whining and pining about California is so-called a red state, but we're underrepresented. We don't have enough Republicans in office, given the population and how much we vote or we've turned red. And as my wife and daughter were doing some tinkering today and shopping, I'm thinking about this, mulling it over. Lo and behold, ding, ding, light bulbs. You don't have enough Republicans in office in California because, number one, nobody wants to run as a Republican in California. Run to do what? To be destroyed? To have you people crucify them because they might actually be good at trying to acquire an office you suggest to them to run for? As soon as you get somebody in there that seems to have a mind, that seems to have a thought process on how to win, the first thing that you want to do is crucify them. The next thing you want to do is put up someone that you've decided is worthy of mention to be in those positions, and then we have problems because they are everything but a Republican. My case in point right now is I think we're starting to get that little inkling of a rumor, that little whisper in the back of your mind People are starting to coalesce a little bit more about who they'd like to see as governor. Someone that's rich, that can get money, that can do this, that can do that. And here it comes, Rick Caruso. How the hell did you figure that one out? This is my personal opinion as a candidate for governor in California in 2026 to Mr. Caruso. Stay the hell out of the race. Because as a Republican, you ain't it. If anyone tries to bring you into the party, they should immediately be removed and disbarred from the party, because they'd be promoting a Democrat who is staunchly behind Democratic policies, i.e. Mr. Biden during his term. So if you're considering that gentleman to be on the ticket, think long and hard before you do that. You pretty much would assure the destruction of the party, of what's left of it in California. Don't care if he's rich, don't care if he's popular, don't care if he has name recognition from here to China. That man sold out from Republican to independent to Democrats, now considering another potential run as governor for the state of California. Sick. And I think lastly, what I want to talk about also is for the top two, the supposed gurus of our party, the only people that everybody seems to know about, because the party suppresses information on everybody else. The media suppresses information on everybody else. If they don't have clicks, you're not worthy. If you don't bring in viewership, we don't mention you. Unless something drops on your foot that's an atomic bomb in nature, nobody knows who you are. So now we have two people running for candidacy of California state governor, Hilton and Bianco. That's it. Nobody else knows who else is running, even though there's 25 different people running for governor. They only know of those two. So let me remind people about those two. Chad panicked when he thought Mel Gibson was going to get in. Hilton panicked when he couldn't get on Gavin Newsom's podcast. And then the panic went to almost akin to a temper tantrum because he couldn't get on Gavin Newsom's podcast. I can't sit down with Gavin Newsom. I can't get interviewed by Gavin Newsom. Gentlemen, let me put this out to you so that you both know where I'm coming from, and so that folks out there can know where I'm coming from. I don't give a rat's about Gavin Newsom and his podcast, what he can say, what he wants to say, or anything other than good night, goodbye, good luck, and good riddance. I don't care that that man is shooting for the stars of 2028 to be the president of the United States of America. That is not our problem today. That is the nation's problem tomorrow. We should be focused on how to win the governorship in California for 2026, not pandering, panicking, and anything else on what Gavin is doing for 2028. And if that's where you're at, that's where your head is at as a Republican, then maybe you need to pull it out of the 4 points and come back to reality. You folks panicked when you thought Kamala Harris was going to come on board. I cheered up and down for the opportunity to take her into a debate and to make sure that she couldn't walk out of that debate with a political career. Oh, but I'm sorry, I'm a political nobody. More than what you gentlemen did. You're worried about what she could do. You're worried about how many votes she could take. You're worried about she was going to be the only candidate running who was going to automatically win California. You worried about losing to her, a consummate loser who walked away from the very first opportunity to hear a vote cast when she ran for office as the president. Wow. Talk about being spooked by your own shadow. That's kind of disconcerting. The party are backing you two individuals, and somebody said boo, and you damn near defecated on yourselves and ran for cover because you thought she was the one who was going to take California. Until she dropped, like she normally does, quits, walks away, comes up with a lame excuse, couldn't hold water. If she was in the middle of the ocean, underwater, she couldn't hold water. And you guys breathed a sigh of relief and you continued on. And now we're still about Gavin Newsom. Oh, Gino Gavin Newsom. Gino means governor in name only. You still freak out about him. You still freak out about what he's done in California. You still freak out about what he says, how he acts, what he's doing. I'm sorry, folks. Let me be as blunt and as plain as I can possibly be. Who cares? Gavin Newsom is doing exactly what I prophesied he would do over a year ago if we did not recall him prior to this election. He's like a squatter getting dragged out of a home he no longer owns or he can no longer reside in, and he's going to do as much damage as he can on his way out the door. Vis-a-vis the last couple of weeks has now proven that to be a correct theory. As fast as the legislature is coming out with boneheaded legislation, he's just as quickly signing it into law. He's just as quickly passing it off as law. The statements he makes, the comments he makes, the laws he's passing, you think that man is going to be in a position to want to talk to anybody on the Republican Party? For what? His own political aspirations? I'm not here to encourage his run for presidency, nor am I willing to entertain sitting down across the idiot that's destroyed our state for any lengthy conversation except give me the keys and get lost. But you people are insistent on being on his podcast and highlighting how horrible of a man he is, how horrible of a governor he is. Again, strike two. You people are acting as if you're running against Gavin Newsom. I must be the only candidate that realizes I'm not running against Gavin Newsom. There's nothing about him I wish to discuss or declare. I'm running against his legacy. I'm running against the 30-some-odd Democrats who are trying to recover that legacy and run forward with it, plus envision their own purpose of stupidity along with how they want to govern what's left of California. They have come across as, I'm running for governor because I want to be first woman, I want to be first African American, I want to be first gay, I want to be the first straight, I want to be the first LGBTQ+, I want to be the first Asian Pacific, I want to be the first Hispanic, blah, blah, blah. They're all running to be the first of something, but they're not running for the right reasons. My counterparts, God bless you all, wherever you're at in the Republican Party and wherever you're standing in the standings, I'm running for one reason, and the main reason is, first and foremost, for the citizens of this state. Number one reason of why I'm running. Everything after that is the platform. People challenged me and said, well, I've said it when I ran 4 or 5 years ago. I don't care what you said 4 or 5 years ago. I'm talking about today. What does your platform say today? And it doesn't start with, first and foremost, the citizens of this state. So we're heading towards November the 4th for the election. 4 days after that, the new information's come out now. Yes, Kim Yeaters, take your power back. The Governor Forum on the 8th of November. San Marcos, California. Moved away from Carlsbad, now we're in San Marcos. We have 15 candidates. Maybe 13. Changes a little bit. Used to have a big load of names on there, and suddenly one of them has disappeared. What happened? Why? Who's missing, Leo, you might ask? Who's not going to show up to a political forum featuring governor candidates of the Republican persuasion, you might ask? For some strange reason, you don't see Chad Bianco's name. You don't see Chad Bianco's face. You're not even hearing about Chad Bianco showing up to this event. From what I've been told, from what I've been informed, from what I've heard, from what I've listened to, Chad Bianco refuses. Let me make sure that you all heard that correctly. Chad Bianco refuses to attend the 8th of November forum for the Governor's Platform Forum, the Governor Candidate Forum. Refuses to attend. Well, let's give man credit. I understand it's political gamesmanship. When you presume that you're in the lead, why would you want to go down into the gutters to deal with people who will ask you tough questions that you don't want to answer? Who will put to the test situations that you don't want to have to explain or describe why they are what they are? Why would you avoid coming to a platform where you've already had been interviewed by the lady in question, Miss Yeater, who put you to the test on the first Take Your Power Back platform, if you remember all that. Myself, Leo Zaki, and Chad Bianco, the first three she threw out there. Go back and look at that podcast that Kim Yeater made on the first three interviews of the Governor Candidate Forum that she provided. Bianco, Zaki, and Naranjo. 1 hour apiece. And you'll see why, and you'll understand why Chad Bianco has decided to run away and refuses to show up to this event. You call it what you will. Call it whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it Chad Bianco's got Kamala Harris-itis, and he's doing the same thing she would do. When the going gets tough, the tough start running. That's not how it's actually said, but you get the drift. And so the going is getting tough, and he's fleeing. The sheriff, the 30-year veteran of law enforcement, the man posting up today. Law and order is going to bring California around. Really? 30 years experience, and that's the best you can do? You're going to turn California around with law and order? My God, they could have been doing that for the last 30 years. What happened? So yes, you're not going to be there, sir. You refuse to be there, which is a shame because I think a lot of people expected you to be there. I know I did. Because I want that opportunity now that they've opened up the forum a little bit more. It's moving into a debate mode. It's moving into a live venue mode, live telecast mode. Steve Hilton supposedly will be there. We'll see. Other candidates are going to show up. Yep, they'll be there too. This will be interesting because it shows to the people of California exactly the type of candidates that you're dealing with. If you want to go strictly with the polls, less than 2 weeks ago, Mr. DeMaio put out a poll that said you two gentlemen barely passed the 10% mark. Matter of fact, the poll he showed, you were at 9.9%. Now, both of you have come out with your own version of polling. I'm at 22, I'm at 24, I'm beating Katie Porter. Woohoo! Katie Porter made an ass of herself. That's who the Democrats coalesced to when Kamala Harris dropped out. She now looks like a blithering idiot trying to ask people's permission to forgive her so she can still run. Nothing's changed about that woman. She still is the drama queen that she portrayed herself in that news interview. Oh, and by the way, Miss Julie Watts, whenever you're ready to have a discussion, please look me up. You're sitting with candidates, so you say, but you seem to be selective on the candidates that you want to interview. Okay. You thought Katie Porter was going to be the demo darling because Alani was it, then she got dumped. Harris was it, and then she ran away. Now you're stuck with Katie Porter. She was supposed to be it, and she blew up and embarrassed all of you. And so who do we have on the Republican side? Two men afraid of Katie Porter. One who's running away from a debate with his counterparts. My God, if you're running away from a debate with your Republican counterparts, what are you going to do in front of the demos when they get a hold of you? And if you think this is savage, I'm quite sure from the expertise that they have, they're going to be far worse than anything I'm throwing at you today. I've posted a video up there already about Mr. Thurman having a video with you on Fox News 11 down in the LA area. Oh, that happened a few months ago. Yes, Fox News 11 put you and Thurman on the same stage, sir. And let me tell you, it was embarrassing to watch because Mr. Thurman took you apart. You claim whatever you want to claim, but when you see that video, that's embarrassing. And that's our top tier candidate? Whew. I don't think the Republicans are doing a very good job of vetting, but if you ask the Northern California director, it's not about vetting candidates. It's not about winning. It's not about putting the right candidate in the position to run for governor. According to that gentleman, it's about their ability to sell tickets at Central Committee functions. That's it. Wow. How many of you donors knew that? Our candidates that we have, that the party is pushing as the top two, everything is all about them. are doing it solely because their name recognition gets you ticket sales so that you can run for assembly, for state senate, for legislative purposes, for school districts, to keep your county red, while the state is smeared and buried under blue dips. Pardon that explanation, but that's the best word I can use at the moment. Horrible to know that they have not taken the time, have not gone through the process, have done nothing towards acquiring a decent candidate for the public of this state. That's not their goal. Their goal is to keep getting donor funding so they can keep doing whatever it is they're doing in the background. Many of the grassroots candidates are being blocked. Many of the grassroots candidates are complaining. Many of the grassroots candidates aren't even being acknowledged that they're candidates. I'm one of them. So when we come up here on November the 8th, this is a real big opportunity for all of us. And I hope the people who are attending bring their A game. One of us has already chickened out. He's fled the battlefield because politics is war by another name. And you've just seen the first casualty by somebody running away when we're getting ready for the big showdown. This is almost like showing up to Gettysburg and watching the Union Army flee because somebody thought they were good, better than everybody else, and didn't need to show up for the fight. You're doing exactly what Mr. John Doolittle did 30 years ago when he was a congressman and went ballistic on a very close personal friend of mine, threatening her job if she didn't back off zapping him, because in his mind, he felt, my name is John Doolittle. Everybody knows me. I'm a congressman, and I'm anointed to that office that you're impeding me getting again. He lost his election. Carly Fiorina, I say her name often on the campaign trail. Carly Fiorina. Leo, it's all about how much money you can raise. You're not raising enough money. A lot of us aren't raising enough money. Well, the top two, they've got millions. They probably do. Steve Hilton's not coming out of pocket. But I tell you what, Carly Fiorina didn't raise a dime. Carly Fiorina didn't ask for donor money to do anything. Carly Fiorina came out of her pocket $140 million. So if it's only about the money, ladies and gentlemen, why wasn't that woman our governor for 2 terms? $140 million check to herself from her own bank account. Why was she not elected if it's only about the money? Because she was a crappy candidate. She had a crappy platform. She couldn't buy her way into the office. So what does that tell you when people come up with that nonsensical statement, how much money have you raised? I don't know. How much money are you helping me raise? Republican pundits on central committees are very quick to tell you, well, what offices have you held before? I'm honestly going to tell you. Given your description, I have not been in office in the state of California in the entirety of my life. So right there, I'm even with your top pick candidate who has neither been in office in this country, much less this state, for the few years that he's been a citizen. We're equal there. How much experience do you have, Leo, of running anything in government in the state of California? Just as much as your top guy has. 0. He's a 0, I'm a 0. Well, he's got millions of dollars and you don't. You're right. He does have millions of dollars and I don't. That should tell you something right there. How do you think he got his millions of dollars? And it sure as hell wasn't chumming with the middle class or the poor people in this state, not representing their interests. I'm over here showing folks that gas in Georgia is $2.50, near $2.48 a gallon in a Costco. Do you think that man is worried about doing anything better? Because his promise to the state is, I'm going to bring gas down to $3 a gallon. $3 a gallon. Ooh, I should be thankful, sir, for you doing that. Seriously? 248 here in Georgia. It's not platitudes. That's not BS. I've shown you the videos and posted them already. And that's over a year ago when it was 265. Lawsuit with no paperwork. Court dates with no evidence. Promises that we've heard for 30 years. I'm all about saving California. You were getting ready to bail on California if you thought Harris was going to be the candidate. Now all of a sudden you found something and now you want to fight the good fight. And you only want to do it with the selected people you feel are in your particular level of social standings. But we're doing something that we've seen with past people who are that arrogant. You, sir, think that you're going to be anointed to the office. I, sir, am trying to win the trust of people's vote so I can be elected to the office. There's a big difference between our two visions on how we're going to acquire governorship in California. One lady couldn't buy her way in. Somebody couldn't keep an office because he was arrogant enough to think it belonged to him. People in California gave up in 2022. 51% of the population in California who could vote didn't. So whatever the party tells you about this Dolly surprise, we're a red state, he got 48% of the vote. Woohoo! No, he did not. He got 48% of those who cast a ballot. But in the overall electorate, he only pulled down 16% of the voting public. And Gavin Newsom wasn't much better. He only got 24% of the voting public, eligible voters. 51% of our state didn't engage. I don't care if you're no party, independent, green, demo, Republican, or whatever. And here's the last comment for those people who think that I can be bullied by the unions. No, that's not going to happen. Been a union member, sat down with the unions, got conversations with my old union. Their director is stuck on pulling dues. I'm stuck on talking to people about the cost of living in California and trying to keep them here as opposed to watching them leave. There's an impasse. Yes, there is. He wouldn't move and I wouldn't budge. SEIU refuses to talk. That's fine. We don't have to do it today. We're going to do it at some point, but it doesn't have to be today. That's your choice. If an individual from the Republican Party as a candidate with family money couldn't encourage me to quit, if an individual who was getting ready to run as a candidate back in July of 2025, but she decided not to throw her hat into the ring, this woman was worth $200 million. Got big friends. Leo, you don't understand. I've got donors who are ready to commit, but they need to know you have a plan B. If that woman couldn't entice me to leave or encourage me to drop, if other people throughout my career haven't encouraged me to back off or quit, if the people who told me about trying to talk to the community of Ileton couldn't get me to see that that was useless and a wasted effort because politically they were already corrupt and beyond saving, and yet I still went forward to try and help them out anyway, if none of these things could sway me from doing what I needed to do, what makes you think that the top two are going to overrun me? The SEIU is going to buffalo me or anything else is going to transpire? There's a lot of right and there's a lot of wrong in the world. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of evil if you want to go down that path. But one thing that I want to encourage each and every one of you out there listening to this video, don't let people panic you. Winners don't panic. They steadfast, eye on the prize, and they move forward. The battle is coming up, and it's coming up soon. And we already have people quaking in their boots because they've never had to fight one before. Never been in a full-time war situation where people are actually shooting at me, but I know what the hell to do if I do get in that situation. So here we are. My name is Leo Naranjo IV. I'm a candidate for the Republican governorship of California in 2026, and I'm going to let you people know the only way I'm going to drop from this race, the only way that I'm going to quit running in this race is if you can show me a legal business license of a business that has been running for over a year, selling gas to California Democrats at $2 a gallon and charging Republicans $6, and vice versa. You can show me that. I'll even go one step further. If you can show me that, I will drop my race on Kim Yeaters' program. That's a bold, cocky statement to make. Because I already know the answer. You're not going to find a legal, legitimate business that has done that asks people their political standings to change the amount of gas that they purchase based upon their response. You're in California. You're going to be kicking out anywhere between $5 and $6 a gallon. I don't care what political party you're in. Greenpeace, no party preference, independent, Democrat, Republican, we are all getting screwed with the same gas prices. So good luck in doing that one. And if you do manage to find that business, I tell you what, the lawsuit should be coming. That's my stance. That's my viewpoint. If people actually thought it out and mathed it out instead of panicking and freaking out like they've been doing for the last few weeks over this Prop 50 stuff, they would understand the concept. And it's very simple to understand. I think I'm the only candidate for the last year and a half that has been yowling, Republicans have an opportunity to put 2 candidates in the top 2 tier for a runoff. 2. You ask the so-called party people, oh my God, they're desperate to just get 1. Oh, Leo, we'll be lucky if we can squeak 1 in. All of you guys got to drop. Because if not, you're going to split the vote. For those of you with that nonsensical thinking, boomer, youngster, Generation Zer, millennial, whatever you want to call yourselves, for the people in the party at all levels, this is what I have to say for you. If we're so fascinated with the concept of everybody has to stand behind one guy, then on the 8th of November, I would propose and suggest you folks come out and make one of your top 2 people quit on that day. Bianco quits for Hilton, or Hilton quits for Bianco. And I'm pretty sure the egos over there are not going to let that happen also. So where does that leave us for the rest of the candidates running? Well, we're going to give you the three questions of death. What positions have you held before? How much experience do you have? How much money can you raise? That's the playbook of losers. That's the 30-year playbook of failure, evident in this state. I don't need to brag about it. I don't need to explain it. You folks have seen it for the last 30 years. Many of you have already fled. A good portion of you are thinking about it, and some of you are probably in the process already of doing just that, leaving this state. I've said this when I opened my campaign. I've said that in the past. I've said it in the present, and I will say it again in the future. This campaign is ours to lose as a party. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to unseat the Democrats in California and take over the governorship of this state and bring it back to the right side as opposed to the socialist side. And how we do that, you have to convince the people that you are earnest in what you're saying. Your platform has to be on point, and you have to be convinced of what you're saying to the public that you're speaking to. You have to, in short, earn their trust to earn their vote and be entitled to sit in the office of governorship. If you can't do that, you've lost. It ain't about your offices. It isn't about how many offices you had, your government experience, how many positions you've done or held. how much money you can raise. If you're still believing that nonsense, you've lost. The only thing you haven't seen yet is the happenings of you losing. That's a playbook of losing. Be convincing, be convinced, and be convicted in where you stand, regardless of the heat that you're going to take, and you have a shot. Know what the hell you're doing. Know what the hell you're talking about. Know what the hell you're giving people when you start giving them platitudes. Folks don't want to hear platitudes. You've heard that for 30 years. People want to see action, but they want to see action that makes sense. I'm going to cut taxes throughout the state. Anybody with a right mind knows that's a full of BS statement. You can't just cut off the revenue stream and continue with the spending stream. But we have too many people right now on the Republican side that think, because it sounds good. It's part of the playbook, matter of fact. Look it up. That's on page 39, Leo. Playbook page 39, how to win. So, you got folks that want to run that gambit too. How are we going to cut taxes? I'm going to cut taxes. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. That was one of our residents here. Pardon the backdrop and the boom. What are we going to do? How are we going to cut taxes? We're going to do what we need to do for this state. When you cut taxes, you have to cut spending. That's the ugly side of the coin nobody wants to discuss. Everybody wants to give you a guarantee or a promise, but nobody can explain how they're going to carry out their guarantee or their promise. Go back to what I said just a little bit ago. You're making statements and platitudes, but you're not giving people hope or acknowledging how you're planning on doing what you say you're going to do. Back in April of this year, 2025, I reached out to the city of Benicia to help them, or to offer to help them. And mind you, I was an exploratory candidate, just starting, not even official yet. How do I save your city from itself when Valero closes down? And a week later, as an exploratory candidate, I was contacted by their city manager to have that very discussion. And it was very pointed. Your mayor, sir, says your debt is $1.2 million, but the news that you've given out information to states, as I calculate the numbers, your debt is $12 million. You've only got about 2,000 or 3,000 people that live there. How are they going to come up with that much of a deficit? Here's what we can do to try and figure it out if that's what you want to do. And lo and behold, he let me know that there were other options the city was exploring. And one of those options was the sale of the Valero business there, the oil refinery. Nobody knew that. Nobody in the month of April knew that that refinery is going up for sale. That hadn't even been announced on the news. And let me tell you, the news was very hot on Benicia and that oil refinery. That news report about them selling that refinery did not come out until 3 months later after our meeting. Wow, why would he leak that to me as an exploratory candidate? But he did. And it happened. And the news media tracked it. Lo and behold, they couldn't find a buyer in the state, because why would I want to buy a refinery that's getting fined for pollution? So what did they do? They went outside of the country to Europe. Couldn't find a buyer there. Now, the last word that I've heard, as I stopped following it as intently, is Benicia's trying to figure out how to repurpose that land when Valero ups and leaves the state of California and takes 10 to 20% of its refining capacity with them. Good luck with that one. Because the oil refinery, even if you get that land, for the next few years, you're going to have to figure out how to clean it to make it suitable for multi-purpose uses, as you're trying to envision now. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to take at least 2 decades. Unless people lie and fast track it and bury what they don't want you to know is underneath that dirt. Benicia, try to have a conversation, didn't go anywhere. Ileton, try to have a conversation with them as a candidate. They're intent on destroying their city and putting all of their debt into the laps of the county of Sacramento. One can only do what people allow them to do. And as a candidate, I can only help where help is wanted. But if you think I'm not good enough, knowledgeable enough, smart enough, sincere or honest enough, hey, that's on you. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to keep doing what I do, and your problem is going to keep growing to the degree that it's growing. So I hope that folks understand the concept and what's at stake here. Panic does not need to be there. Be calm, do what you do, take your measured steps, look at the information the candidates are giving you, listen to what the party is telling you, take a good long look, and make sure that you're also watching what's not being said, just as important. Cast that no vote for Prop 50, get that out of the way. Start looking forward to the next endeavor, which is the candidatorial race for governor in this state. Don't let these people divert your attention to the BS of a presidential race 3-4 years from now. Gavin Newsom is done. Toast. The only good thing he has ever done for California is get termed out of office. Thank you, Jesus. We don't need to be discussing Gavin Newsom and his aspirations. If you're a Republican doing that, as a Republican Central Committee president has alluded to, if you're a Republican that's focused on Governor Newsom, Gino, and his attempts to become president, and that's the only thing that you should be focusing on, then ma'am, you are the problem, not the people of California. Let's stop splitting hairs and being the candidates that people want us to be. Let's stop pretending that we have a job and we're also running for candidacy. I'm for ICE. I'm for supporting ICE. And if elected, we're going to have a lot of support from law enforcement with ICE. But we have a sheriff here that's trying to split hairs. He's a governor for Canada. He's a candidate governor, saying about how much he supports the efforts, but as a sheriff, he can't because of state law. Well, sir, which one is it? You're kind of confusing in where you stand. So in order to be clear, let's just get that off of the table. When are you going to resign as sheriff of Riverside County? Don't care how good you are over there. You want to be on a campaign trail, be on it, out of uniform as a sheriff so that you can make the statements that are factual and not platitudes. As a governor, I'm going to support ICE. Yeah, but as a sheriff, what are you going to do today, right now? Because the last interviews I've seen you jump into about the topic of illegal immigration that you hotly avoid is you're for amnesty and a softening of sanctuary state status, but you're not trying to get rid of sanctuary state status. I've been very clear on my stance. Sanctuary state status ends day 2, period. Want to sue me? Sue me. See you in court. That's how that's going to go. I also want people to take a long, hard look. We've had this discussion before. Some of the constitutionalists have had this discussion. We have some members of the legislature who haven't taken their oaths. Ooh, I saw that list on X, but now I can't find the posting again. Because one of those individuals I saw who failed to do such a thing was Miss Shannon Grove. But she's a Republican. Why would she not take an oath to do her office? Is that true? Has she corrected that mistake? I don't know how old that information was. Like I said, I haven't been able to dig it back up again. But I will say this. Should I be elected, that problem is going to be taken care of in the first week. We're going to have a special session for those members who have omitted taking their oath and bring them up to speed so that everybody's on the same playing field. As well as find out how much of our money is being spent on that damn reconstruction that nobody wants to discuss because there's an NDA behind it. We're going to find out about that too. So, video's kind of long, 30 seconds left. Leo Naranjo IV, candidate for governor of California 2026. I hope that you support me. Check out the website. You can go on PayPal. You can go on Zelle. All your money supporting my campaign goes to my campaign. And I just want folks to know there is somebody that's ready to start fighting for the state. All I need is that opportunity. And while I'm trying to take that opportunity, I have just as many people in the background pulling me down or trying to, so that I'm not in front of you having the conversation one-on-one. It's what they don't want to have happen. Give me about 15 or 20 minutes, I'll change some of your minds. I'll put a shock to your eyebrows and make them go up and say, oh my God, where did this guy come from? I'm not a constitutional expert like we have running around. What I am is an individual with a plan of action and a track record of success behind it. I've stated before, in my career, I've always been given the crappiest assignments, sometimes the purpose to ensure I failed, but sometimes it's just the way the ball bounced. Hey, you're in charge of a section, and that section sucks. Plain and simple. And in less than a year, I brought that section to the third greatest section throughout the Army, worldwide. In less than a year. And when I went on vacation, my staff were so trained, and I trusted them so much that when I left, they lost only 1% efficiency during the time of my absence, and I was gone for 30 days. It's not talk, it's not platitudes, it's not BS, it's not stories. As the great earthquake, the comedian, is fond of saying, these ain't jokes. This is not talk. Veterans, I'm all for them in the state of California. The last state, not including Washington, D.C., that territory, that taxes monies from veterans' pay. The bottom line on that is that's going to end. Lo and behold, shortly after I made that statement at the Veterans Memorial down in Sacramento, the legislature started talking the same thing. Hell, even Gino Gavin started talking the same thing to coerce or to buy or to sauce up the veterans. The very thing I said I was going to do, they started talking about legitimately in the legislature. But to ensure that that happens, let me again assure you of my position on that. Retired pay and benefits, veterans, yes, we're going to end that taxation from the state of California. If we're going to honor veterans, let's do it 100%. What the VA can't help with, we're going to try to help with as a state to get our veterans out of the street, off of the streets, out of the gutters, and into homes. If they can't survive on their own there, then we need to get them into facilities until the VA can handle them correctly. But we're going to do something as opposed to dump money into programs that are obviously failing. Vis-a-vis the news report of the 2 people that have just been arrested for fraud with homeless money. Gee, imagine that. Oh my God, Leo, they picked 2 people apart. Woohoo! Yeah, that's just the beginning. If you're an NGO, if you're a realtor, if you're somebody that was dealing with homeless money under Gino Gavin Newsom, let me assure you, lawyer up. If you had promises to the state and you failed to keep them, you owe the citizens of California money. And we're going to collect it back. If you were supposed to build properties and you didn't build them, you owe the citizens money. We're going to collect that back too. I'm just letting you know up front, it's coming. So let me let you go. We got folks coming around. Have a great evening. Once again, Leo Naranjo IV, candidate for governor of California 2026. Look forward to seeing you guys back in 2 more days. You'll see me right away on the podcast with Charlie Simons. It'll be on at 11:30 on Tuesday. He's going to take another crack at me, and we'll see how that goes then. Have a great evening. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon.